Remember the Pokemon card boom in 2020, when the combination of pandemic lockdowns, free stimulus money, social media influencer hype, and product shortages caused Pokemon prices to skyrocket and an entire industry to transform almost overnight? It really was the perfect storm for Pokemon, leading to some highly unexpected developments, from 25th anniversary concerts to record-setting live streams, and even a global wave of product scalping, and in some cases, Pokemon card-related crimes. The last few years have been anything but normal for Pokemon collectors. While prices and emotions have cooled off considerably since the mania of 2020, the Pokemon card boom has forever changed collecting in some significant ways. I'm Pokemon Classics, and I invite you to join me as we take a look back at how the 2020 Pokemon boom changed everything. Let's roll the intro. Hey everybody, what's up from Pokemon Classics, reminding you that the classics never go out of style. For those of you new to the channel, I've been a Pokemon card collector and seller ever since the beginning. And during this time, I've seen a number of different catalysts spark Pokemon's popularity over the years, but nothing quite like what happened in 2020. With the anticipation of Pokemon's 25th anniversary in early 2021, and a pandemic lockdowns and stimulus checks directing people to online sources of entertainment, Pokemon exploded in popularity. Meanwhile, a parade of celebrities and social media influencers were also entering the hobby, collecting and promoting Pokemon cards to the masses, further fanning the flames of Pokemania. Logan Paul, Steve Aoki, Logic, Post Malone, Katy Perry, Graham Stephan, and even Mr. Beast were just some of the household names promoting Pokemon. Of course, these factors, taken collectively, led Pokemon prices to explode and product shortages to become the new norm for at least a year. News reports about big box retailers being forced to ration Pokemon cards and concerns of rampant scalping had become the unfortunate reality for many collectors and players. Even McDonald's stores were having their entire stock of Happy Meals bought out before even becoming available to the public. Meanwhile, grading companies were forced to close due to overwhelming demand, while Pokemon-related crimes and scams were becoming an almost weekly occurrence. As both a collector and a seller, this was a pretty contentious time in the hobby. However, things have changed since then, like a phoenix bursting into flames before rising from the ashes, entirely renewed and refined. So has Pokemon collecting. In the past year or so, we've seen the mania taper off, and products once again become widely available to consumers. We've also seen grading companies reopen, and prices stabilize at reasonable levels, disincentivizing much of the price scalping and scamming that had become commonplace over the last 2 years. Of course, it's far from perfect, but Pokemon, in my opinion, is stronger and healthier than ever because of the 2020 Pokemon boom. In fact, here are 4 specific ways Pokemon collecting has forever changed. After a meteoric rise in prices, rivaling even the most well-established collectibles, the concept of investing in Pokemon cards has become an ingrained part of the collecting experience. Personally, I don't think of this as a bad thing. Whether you view yourself as primarily a collector buying items to add to your collection permanently, or a reseller looking to buy items to flip or hold long-term, the financial tools and considerations that have emerged since 2020 have changed the way we transact as a community. Never before has there been so many collectors so well-versed on how to look up comps and reference past sales data on a variety of different sites to ensure a fair deal for both parties. Sites like Pokemon Price, PSA Card, PokeData.io, TCG Player, and eBay sold listings have provided accessible avenues for even the most inexperienced collectors to appraise their cards and make educated buying and selling decisions. And I think that's a healthy change. Also, thanks to the 2020 boom, collectors also seem to have a better understanding of condition and how to accurately assess cards for potential damage. The practice of consulting the population reports is also something no longer reserved for just the established collectors out there, but increasingly understood and embraced by the masses. In short, the 2020 boom validated Pokemon cards as legitimate collectibles and alternative assets. And although the mania phase brought some less than desirable effects of overspending, product scalping, and just poor financial decision-making, it also equipped the hobby with some much-needed tools to effectively traverse the path of a collector. Now, as a collector myself, I love collecting for the joy it brings and the memories it rekindles, but it's also important to reflect on the value of my cards, both monetary and sentimental. Like everything in life, there needs to be a balance. Pokemon cards are just cardboard and shouldn't be prioritized over other necessities of life or our relationships with friends and family. But knowing how much our cards are worth and how much we value them is the key to making decisions we won't regret later. Another way Pokemon collecting will remain forever changed in the aftermath of 2020 is the ubiquitousness of grading. In the last 2 years, the interest in grading Pokemon cards has exploded, with several established companies such as PSA having to temporarily suspend services to address the spike in demand and massively upscale their infrastructure and their staff simply to keep up. Meanwhile, a myriad of upstart companies entered the grading market, hoping to fill the void, carve out their own market share, and legitimize themselves as viable competitors to the more established companies such as BGS, PSA, and CGC. For some personal context, when I first started submitting Pokemon cards to PSA back in 2011, graded cards were an incredibly niche segment of the hobby, inhabited mostly by high-end collectors looking to preserve high-end cards. The barrier to entry was pretty high for newer, inexperienced collectors. It required a paid membership, knowledge of the submission process, a familiarity with grading scales, and an intimate knowledge of market prices to avoid losing money. Even for some of the most desirable cards like most first edition WotC Hollows, PSA 8s would often lose money, PSA 9s would maybe break even, and PSA 10s would earn a small premium, depending on the card, of course. It's a totally different experience now, however, with the majority of collectors not only familiar with graded cards and condition scales, but having a variety of options for grading depending on their own goals and preferences. While I don't expect all of these new grading companies to survive long term, grading is no longer a niche interest, nor is it entirely monopolized by just one company. Collectors have options now. With a number of middleman services readily available, grading is also more accessible than it's ever been. Again, I think this is a good thing for a number of reasons. First, competition naturally leads to innovation, which, in theory, should benefit the consumer. Although I personally prefer PSA, I think it's healthy to have competition in the market, especially from a customer service perspective. More importantly, I think the prevalence of grading leads to better educated collectors. Even though grading is subjective to a degree, it does create a standard for individuals to reflect on conditions, populations, and market prices, which are all worthy of consideration. Thanks to the 2020 boom, I think we're seeing a more knowledgeable and engaged generation of collectors emerge. One of my favorite changes to the Pokemon market resulting from 2020 is the evolution of Pokemon-driven content on social media platforms like YouTube. Now, to some degree, Pokemon content creators have always existed, but they were a relatively small niche in the broader social media space. YouTubers like Leonhardt, SM Pratt, TCA Gaming, Gemmint Pokemon, and a handful of others have been producing content for years, but the depth and variety of content we see today is unprecedented. Now, we have dozens of YouTubers with tens of thousands of subscribers, and in some cases, millions of subscribers, producing content on a daily basis. More importantly, the types of Pokemon content transmitting across social media platforms like YouTube is so unbelievably diversified that there are countless ways to engage with the broader community and educate yourself on a variety of different topics. On YouTube alone, there are entire genres dedicated to Pokemon podcasting, pack openings, market analysis, business operations, collection showcases, and so much more. There's also a lot of overlap between these different genres, and I find it really refreshing to see and experience firsthand this network of collectors being built before my eyes. When you can watch a live stream with some of your favorite collectors and chat back and forth live with others who share a similar passion, that's really cool and something relatively new to Pokemon. To me, this is my favorite thing about being a collector. And while there have always been social outlets for fellow collectors to come together in the past, I think 2020 has made it significantly easier and more commonplace. In legitimizing Pokemon to the mainstream and having celebrities like Logan Paul and Steve Aoki take a public stance supporting and promoting Pokemon, it gave collectors everywhere the self-confidence to transition from collecting alone in isolation to participating more actively in the broader social community. Thanks to these social media platforms, I've met and conversed with more collectors in the last 2 years than in the first 20 years combined. Some of these individuals I've had the opportunity to meet in person, others through live video, and others simply through message boards, chats, and discords. I would even go as far to say that many of these individuals I consider to be friends. This is one change resulting from the 2020 Pokemon boom that I hope is permanent. Finally, this may be a controversial statement, but I also believe that the 2020 Pokemon boom has helped make the Pokemon community the best it's ever been. Now, don't get me wrong, I know the last few years were characterized by a lot of negativity and drama, but perhaps these controversies will one day be looked back upon as growing pains, leading to a stronger, more vibrant, and hopefully more mature hobby moving forward. But let me unpack this a bit. First, the commercial success of Pokemon in 2020 helped inspire some major community events that have proven incredibly successful and desired by fans. Take, for example, Collecticon, a nationwide series of conventions bringing together pop culture fans of all ages and all interests to share in their passions. I had the chance to attend one of these events in person thanks to Gary, King Pokemon, for inviting me to join him in Dallas, and it was absolutely amazing. There were hundreds of collectors and players eagerly trading cards, swapping stories, supporting vendors, and just celebrating and enjoying Pokemon together. It was one of my favorite Pokemon experiences, probably that I've ever had, and I'm eagerly anticipating the next one in Denver. And it's not just Collecticon either. These types of large community events have emerged in a number of different ways, including charity box breaks, like the Pokemon Saves the World box break hosted in Las Vegas last October, or Leonhardt's annual charity fundraiser for NAMI, the National Mental Health Institute, which raised a record amount of funds for the nonprofit organization. Leonhardt also hosted a 90s pop-up shop with collectors congregating together to open some vintage packs. Then, of course, the World Championships for Pokemon have returned in full force out in London, with Pokemon fans from around the world in attendance. And it's not limited to large events. I've also seen a noticeable uptick in gaming stores hosting weekly Pokemon meetups and tournaments, providing further opportunities to connect Pokemon fans with other players and collectors. Again, this is something that I find important to the health and sustainability of the hobby. In an era of social distancing and teleconferencing, I think people are eager for social interaction and a feeling of connectedness. And that's perhaps one of the greatest effects of the 2020 Pokemon boom, is reinforcing the importance of community. Although there are always exceptions, Pokemon collectors are some of the most diverse, most charitable, and most passionate people out there. So seeing that there is a demand for these type of events has me optimistic about what the future holds. Obviously, there has been quite a shift in how people approach Pokemon cards over the last few years, but has Pokemon collecting been forever changed by the 2020 boom? And are these changes for the better or the worse? Ultimately, that's for you to decide, but you'll have to let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on the current state of the Pokemon market, whether you think Pokemon is moving in a more positive and healthy direction now. Personally, I'm hopeful that the cooling prices and tensions in the aftermath of Pokemania will lead to some much needed communal growth in resources, growth in knowledge, and growth in opportunities for collectors everywhere to be their very best like no one ever was. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Pokemon Classics, reminding you that the classics never go out of style. Stay well everyone, and we'll catch you with the next video. Hey guys, I just wanted to say a quick thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel. If you have any interest in becoming a patron yourself, check out the link to my Patreon below. For more market analysis videos, you can click on one of these two. They're pretty good, at least I think so. Anyway, you should go check them out. I dare you. I don't really know what else to say, so I'll just disappear now. Bye-bye.